In the workshop, we start with the bag down there and then we work ourselves up. But here I want to do the rectangles first, so I'm going to ignore this part up here and start from here. And then I can determine how long I want the bag to be, so it doesn't matter from where I start. But in this case, I'm going to start up here and I'm going to put some tape over it so that you can see where I start. So I'm just going to work a little bit of the bag and not everything, only to show the rectangles first. So I'm just going to work this part of the bag and then see you and show you how to do the rectangles. I'm going to start here on this area of the bag. So I'm just going to turn this whole thing around to show you guys where I work. So we are at this point right now. As you can see, those three. And then now I'm going to continue to do the rectangles up here. So I'm just going to tape over it to show you what rectangle shape I want to do. So you just start the row as you would usually start any row. So you just check where you are, and I'm just going to start the rows exactly how you usually continue with the rows. Here we are at the end of the row. It's the same thing we do when we end the row. So the last two beads go on the other nylon end instead of the upper one. Instead of arriving on the side, we arrive up there. And instead of threading the other thread through the bead as well, I just go with the thread directly into this blue bead, so that now I can move where the thread is coming out. So instead of coming out of the last bead that we threaded in, the two nylon ends, I want them to come out of the next bead. In this way, we get the rectangle shape because we remove one row for the next row. Because we remove one set of beads for the next row, and this way we get the rectangle shape. So what I want basically is for the threads to come out of the next bead instead of the last bead. This is how we do the rectangle shape. So I am moving the nylon through the beads next to it until they come out, both of the threads come out of the bead next to the last bead. And you can do this actually by going all the way wherever you want with the thread. Of course, it's quicker and easier if you just go directly through it. Now I thread the two nylon ends through this bead that I'm talking about. The bead next to the last bead, where we're going to continue the next row instead of using the last bead, because if you would use the last bead, you would just go straight up, but we don't want that, of course. You can just work the regular row, how you did it before. So you start with 3 beads and then you continue with the 2s until the end. I'm just gonna show you where we are, and now you can just continue the rows with the next 3 beads. Just check up with your pattern all the time so that you're correct in the pattern. If you do a mistake, it's no problem, you can open it, but yeah, it's just better to check it up. I'm gonna start with the 3 beads again and then continue with all the two beads until the end. And it's just starting like any other first row. Here you see me doing the 3 beads, and then you continue with the 2s. Now we arrived at the end, so you're going to do the last 2 beads again, and instead of threading the last 2 beads on the upper nylon, you do it on the lower, the one on the side. You only do this so you arrive with the 2 nylon ends at the upper bead instead of the side bead. So here you have the nylon coming out of the upper bead now. And now you just continue your next normal round again. So the 3 beads and then the 2s. Now you're going to do the last 2 beads again, and you just do them on the lower thread again, so that you arrive with the nylon ends at the upper bead. And I immediately thread the end to the lower bead. It just, you don't have to do it like that, it's just faster. That's why I do it. Now you have the thread again through the beads, so you arrive with the nylon ends to the next bead next to the last bead. So you don't start the next row with the last bead, but you started with the bead next to it. That's how you get the rectangle. It's just the same thing as before. I have to arrive to this next bead. And now I just continue the next row. So I just started with the 3 beads and then I continue with the 2. Here I have it at the end. I start with the next 3 and then continue with the next 2 until I am done with the size I want of the rectangle. And here I am at the end of this rectangle, because the rest I will use to continue the strap of the bag. So I'm just gonna thread all this so that my thread is on the side bead, just because I want to use it later for when we put the both back sides together. You don't have to do this point. I just do it because I don't want to use new thread, but you can just thread everything back into the bag and just use new thread, but I just want to do it on the sides. Now you know how to do those rectangles on a bag.